Hello sir, now we are looking on assignment problem set 2 question number 1. As you can see, this is the diagram given to solve. So based on the diagram given, we can find two paths, which is G1, G2, G3 and G1, G4, which is G1, G4. So there's two paths in this diagram. So we can find four loops here. First one is G1, G2, H1, which is this G1, G2, H1. Next is G2, G3, H2, G2, G3, H2. The third one is negative G1, G2, G3, which is G1, G2, G3, negative 1. And the last one is loop number 4, which is G1 and G4, which is G1, G4, negative 1. So we found four loops over here. So for delta 1 and delta 2, there is no separate loop from the paths for the path number 1 and path number 2. So here the value will be 0 and we get delta 1 and delta 2 as 1 and 1. As you can see, this is the transfer function. This is the combination of the loops we obtain, and since all the loops are connecting to each other, there is no non-touching loops, so we can finalize our transfer function as this. For the second part of question number 1, this is the diagram given for us to solve. So from the diagram, we can obtain P1 as 1 over R1 multiplied by 1 over R2, R4, which is here, it connects to here and here. For path number 2, we obtain 1 over R1 multiplied by alpha multiplied by R4, which is here, goes here, and then ends here. So this is the two paths we obtain. And this diagram, from this diagram, we can obtain three loops, which is negative 1 over R1, this one. Loop number 2 as negative R3 multiplied by 1 over R2, this one. And loop number 3 as R4 multiplied by negative 1 over R2. Okay, so we have three loops over here. And for delta 1 and delta 2, since all the loops are touching to both of the parts, are somehow connected to both of the parts, we are unable to obtain any values over here. So we obtain delta 1 and delta 2 as 1 and 1. For non-touching loops, we are able to identify that loop 1 and loop 3 are not touching to each other, which is this loop and this loop are not touching to each other. So we obtain R4 over R1, R2, and this is the transfer function we obtain when we combine all these values we obtain, and this is the final transfer function. Thank you, sir.